what you have going on for the holiday?
For Christmas, just
So that's late office hours for people who come in for 5 to 7.
Right. We're open 9 to 5 every day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I kind of figured also
What's the climate there, right in that little area where you are?
It's interesting. So, we're in the Beverly Area Planning Association.
Okay.
So to the west of us,
because that's right there by the train station.
Right.
Right.
You see the train right on.
Okay.
So to the east of us.
It's not just the risk of the individual. Do you run a credit score, or do you do a credit check?
And an algorithm that includes a credit score that was primarily based on your credit. Not what we call a hard hit on your credit.
Okay. So it's a soft pull.
Yes, it's a profile. On auto, there's like a rating. I said it's from 160.
But there is a factor of locale. That geography is a determinant, and it could be an expensive determinant, costly determinant.
Absolutely, but you can't. But the credit, I guess, fair consumer laws prohibit insurance companies from actually using that as a sole determinant on whether or not you grade for a policy within a certain company. Under the off figure umbrella, there are several companies. We have indemnity and auto our preferred one is factor
that taken into account?
And, oh yeah, absolutely. So, and that's one of the main determinants as to, how you get into a low risk or to a higher risk pool. And we don't make any determinations of ourselves. It's done by correct computer algorithms based on the data that we put in by the people and by the reports that are out there. A lot of people don't realize you got an insurance history report just like you got a credit report. A credit report. A lot of people don't realize that on things like life insurance, you have what's called the Medical Information Bureau report, MIB. That's just like your credit report. And you can't lie on a life insurance application and say, I never had high blood pressure, or I wasn't obese, because there's a medical report that's corresponding. That's going to tell what the real deal is. I think it's funny when you go online and they see these, they click on these pop-ups and things to get a quote for an auto insurance policy. And without running your reports, the questionnaire behind the pop-up will say, how would you rate your credit? Fair, good,
So you can pick the best.
I haven't run anybody yet that didn't pick out.
Right, so you say all that, and you get the lowest.
Then you get a quote or a price estimate that says, oh, you can pay $7 a week for insurance. Or, or
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right, but then when it comes time to actually getting your policy.
Reports,
Now, if, there have been cause for concerns that some of this, in fact, all over, that these data algorithms and this various, is a new way of writing in expense to the detriment of certain communities. And it's you might call it high-tech red line.
Right.
Now, is there anything people can do to mitigate that activity? And is there a way where regulators or other people that are, because it is a regulated industry, can make sure that these types of activities are in fact fair and equitable and not onerous for low income or certain areas being prohibitively charged to carry the weight of this risk?
So I think.
Okay, Bruce, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Does the company have a lead, is there a mic issue? Does the company have a lead generation activity that produces localized inquiries that you get to
Yes,
follow?
a lot of them, but we also, as an agency, expect to do the best.
Just want to take a quick peek at this. You shining too, like your mom.
You say what?
You shining like your mom.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell him. He was just, okay, we can go with that.
That's good. We'll, 4 or 5 members on a regular basis. Provide me with cold leads, warm leads, lead management systems that I use to record data from leads and make sure that that's available to us as we're going through our regular processes.
Mhm. And what do you find the ROI is for that? Is it a fundamental cost of doing business?
Yeah, and each lead system or lead provider, even down to the provider that we utilize, also it actually keeps data on those in the aggregate, and we can also see data from our individual agencies on what we've got.
What does that look like in terms of a monthly budget allocation for marketing?
But it varies depending on the size of your agency. See, I've got an agency that's probably under $600,000 in annual premium.
Mhm.
But obviously my spend maybe it's $1,200, $1,500 a month as opposed to,
Mhm.
you know, you got an agency, you know, less than 2 miles from here, that's $10 million annual premium there. They're spending,
Mhm.
you know, a lot more.
Mhm.
Literally,
Would you say that it's,
operation and management.
so would you say that that is, as a portion of their overall revenue, are they still within the same, you know, budgeted amount? So in other words,
Is it proportional?
yes,
No, it can't be. I've got, because after, you know, I'm still, I'm beyond what we call a startup for all states consideration. It being 3 years and under a startup agency, but I've still got a lot of the basic expenses that come with phone systems, rent, internet service, you name it, those types of basic
yeah, right.
costs that I've got to cover, and then try and stay competitive staff-wise. These guys, the scale that you grow at decreases, or it spreads out that incremental costs a lot thinner as you grow. So you know, somebody might be a $10 million business versus a $1 million business isn't necessarily going to spend 10 to 1
Okay.
in marketing, external marketing costs that small businesses, because they can market within the book as well.
Okay, so once you get a book of business up to a certain capacity,
That's right.
then you can farm that system
That's right.
to your benefit. So as a younger company, you have to then punch above your weight in marketing
That's right.
to build that farm foundation
Mhm.
that then you can market against. So to some extent, you have to
That's right.
overspend initially in these first 3 to 4 to 5 years to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Now, is it true there is literally enough business out there for everybody that it's not, this is not a situation where a market like Illinois or Chicago in particular is over farmed, and so there's a pop-up agency on every corner.
Right.
Everybody's competing for the same, or is it in terms of insured and uninsured, or whatever the matrix is, that there's still a lot of business out there for everybody to really get after it and get their share.
So in insurance, I would say there's still opportunity. There's a certain level of saturation in certain communities, and it's up to the carrier to sort of determine what that level of saturation is for their brand. For Allstate, they won't put one agency, generally speaking, within a mile of another. And for the most part throughout Illinois, once you get outside of Chicago, the rest of the particular state, you'll find larger swaths of
Territory.
Where there are, agents operating specifically.
Because the population is not as dense.
That's right.
So you go out into the rural areas, and for every 50 miles, it might not be 100,000 people.
Exactly.
So in your zip code, it may be, sometimes I look at populations of cities and I say, geez, there are more people in the Chicago ward
Right.
than there are in some big name cities that we think about, but we don't think of them as being, populations in the hundreds of thousands versus the millions.
Right. So technology has brought folks a lot closer together too. So even though my agency's in Beverly, I've got customers in the Quad Cities area. I've got customers down in Metro East.
Because they know you and you can just deal electronically.
That's right. They trust these are folks who generally maybe trust me or have a relationship with me. They trust me with their insurance spend, and that I'm going to stay on top of what we need to provide them the best bang for their dollar. And so they don't have to be near me. They don't have to have the insurance.
And that's different in the last 20 years or 10 years
Sure.
than it was where the business was more localized, at least on the property casualty side.
Right.
What's the when you look at the business, property casualty, investment services, other services, what's the breakdown in your particular agency of some of those areas?
Well, Allstate is largely a personal line insurance carrier, but we do a fair amount of commercial products, and we in particular offer a very attractive, I think, set of protection products and risk management products for small businesses. And that's everything from your basic small business property and casualty coverages to even aggregated small business group benefit products.
You get involved in any bonding work, like in construction-related areas or certain industries where licensing and bonding requirements are certain?
Sure, we actually sell bonds. Our first bond customers ourselves. We don't sell it, it's not an Allstate branded product that we sell, but when there's a product that isn't in Allstate's space, or their sweet spot, as we might, or their market.
You can still go out and give it.
There's a small group of providers that Allstate will allow us to broker for, and those they have to be products that are actually approved by Allstate, and they're a part of that what we call commercial expanded market portfolio that Allstate has to us. So bonds, surety bonds.
Yes, those right.
Are available through your local Allstate agent.
Is the commercial side of the business shown some zest and some improvement in the last year, as you've seen in the Chicago economy? Have you seen some improvement in the robustness of the commercial side?
Well, for me personally, I've always been a guy who had a special interest in commercial. So one of the first things out of Allstate's university training program, which is about 6 weeks, I went after and received a certification as a commercial specialist. So I was always focused on actually say though, in recent, probably the last couple of years that you mentioned, we've actually gotten more restrictive on Allstate products in particular. There's a lot of folks who have business concepts and business ideas, but everything isn't the type of risk that a company like Allstate would have to go after. And as I've grown my agency, I probably got actually less time to actually go out and search for those niche products for people who are in businesses that might not be in Allstate's marketing direction.
Okay. So in other words,
a lot of research.
So in other words, they are tending on the conservative side, and the business entities that they're willing to cover are more traditional business entities.
There's actually 36 verticals.
Yes.
Or business or industry areas that Allstate is particularly good at. Doesn't mean those are the only ones.
Right. It's just the ones they know.
That's
and
right.
They're comfortable with the risk profile of those verticals.
Exactly.
So how does that affect where, when we look at new business starts, and we look at a lot of folks, over the last, decades or so, there's been a swing towards service economy, and people are going into, all types of service type businesses, event planning, catering, project management, all types of professional service areas.
Right.
So it's not, everybody's not brick and mortar anymore.
That's right.
But they could do tens of millions of dollars in these service arenas.
Right.
So as things change, do you find that the firm is keeping up with these changes and being able to go where the growth is in terms of some of these niche?
Okay, Bruce, here we go. Here we go.
Well, it's good to know.
Yeah, we'll go. Sorry.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good day. My name is Bruce Montgomery. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Technology Access Television. I'm just sitting up in the studio talking, having a good time, and waiting for everything to be a go, because so much happening in this new year around technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And I'm happy to be here bringing the best and the brightest to you so that you can make some sound decisions on investments for yourself, your company, your business, your community. Many different things relate to an investment of time and capital, and one of those areas that's very important in business today is risk. We have to mitigate risk in so many areas. Business has gotten, on one hand, more complicated, certainly with all the changes, and as we see every year, there's always going to be a slew of policy changes that affect all kinds of businesses, no matter what kind of business you're in. So as an owner and as an individual, you have to consider, how do I protect myself in this kind of environment? And my guest today is one of the best and brightest in this field. We're just going to have a conversation about how to grow, but how to grow smartly, how to grow, but also protect what you own, what you have, so that you can continue to grow and provide for yourself, your family, and those that you care about. My guest today is none other than Mr. Andre Garner, and he is a financial industry veteran. He spent a number of years growing his own franchise within the Allstate arena, but he's got a lot more experience that we're going to talk about here today. Andre, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Bruce.
Well, I'm glad you can make it out here today to sit back and have a chat. And, I was talking about you being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And I was saying, your entrepreneurial history started more than just when you hung up a shingle and said you wanted to be your own broker. Tell me about how you got started in the area of entrepreneurship.
Yes, sir. Actually, it was probably closer to 30 years ago.
Okay.
At the
You
University
had a paper
of
route.
Illinois. Not quite, but just a step above that, I think. At the University of Illinois, marketing business partner, as I call him, a gentleman who's a graphic designer, and myself, started printing T-shirts.
Okay.
For Mom's Day.
In the dorm room, huh?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And it was a way to make expenses as, you know, struggling college students. And even when we graduated, we saw that there was a particular niche that we addressed when it came to marketing to and about the culture that we so love and are familiar with. And we've moved that forward and continue to do some of that work.
Okay, yes,
I gotta stop one more time.
all right.
I'm sorry.
What's going on?
It should be okay now. A couple of buttons were hit inappropriately,
Okay,
and then, so we got them straight now. I got them straight.
all right,
So here we go. We're gonna roll on this. Sure.
all right. I guess the studio's cold, huh?
Sorry, Mr. Garner.
No problem.
Have you done any video marketing or commercials for the agency?
I've got a couple pieces on my website. When I gave Rebecca Moyle an nominated her for an award that Allstate has.
Okay,
She was one of 3 winners around the country.
All right.
Communications unit came out and did a little video for that. But it
All right.
wasn't really just advertising that years ago.
Mhm.
But no, not really.
Good.
They're gonna use it though, and I'm sure commercial for it is, it's just money out there.
Yeah. Is this year ending up a year over year, a good year for growth for the
A lot
agency?
better than last year.
Oh, good.
2016,
It was rough.
it was rough for the whole industry, actually.
Okay, I don't hear anything out here, but that's all right. Good day, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Bruce Montgomery. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Technology Access Television. Well, I'm happy that it's a new year, and I'm happy that it's a new you, and I'm hoping in this new year you're looking out for yourself in terms of your business, your health, your prosperity, everything that's important to you. I'm hoping you're starting this year being on point. And one of the ways we have to be on point as entrepreneurs and business owners is to be considerate of how we manage ourselves, how we manage our property, how we manage all that we own, all that we marshal, and the work that we try to do. And that it takes encountering how we avoid all risk and manage that risk to the best of our abilities. And so no matter what kind of business you have, large or small, service, manufacturing, e-commerce, you always have to consider in your business and marketing planning risk management. And my guest today is one of the experts in this field. We're just going to have a conversation about managing risk and growing at the same time. My guest today is Mr. Andre Garner. He is a professional in the field of risk management, and I'm happy he could take some time with us today to discuss these issues. But we're just going to talk about entrepreneurship, talk about growth, talk about innovation, talk about how to still make 2018 the best year of your life when it comes to your business and your personal property. That's what we're going to talk about today. Andre, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Bruce.
All right. Well, this time is a go. And this time, we're gonna get into this subject as best we can. Tell us how you got started, not only just in the area of risk management. How did you get started in entrepreneurship?
Goes back to my college days. A friend of mine and I at the University of Illinois printed and sold T-shirts for the campus's annual Mom's Day. And it was really our first opportunity to, or exposure to, actually appealing to a unique interest out of our communities. African-American students at the University of Illinois unfortunately just didn't participate in Dad's Day, much the same that we did Mom's Day.
Okay.
Everybody's mom was down, and we saw a unique opportunity to take advantage of the demand that was a part of a short window of time, and we've been doing that kind of thing ever since with our marketing and communications efforts.
All right. Now, what was your undergraduate major?
I have a degree in news editorial journalism.
Okay, so of which you've used almost none of in your professional career. Did you spend some time in that area?
Well, I spent 20 plus years actually working in communications.
All right.
Doing PR, so to speak, and speech writing, and writing news releases and newsletters, and you name it.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So that education has served you well, no matter what you decide to do. Now, you've also spent a little time in government, too. How did you go from the private sector to the public sector?
I actually started with the public sector.
All right.
My first job out of college, I was an intern at the Chicago Housing Authority, and I moved from 10 weeks of internship into a permanent job as a staff writer. And my role there really had me writing 2 newsletters, one for residents of the nation's second largest public housing agency, and another newsletter for the employees. After several weeks of doing that, I started taking media calls on behalf of the agency, and ultimately became the chief spokesman for the CHA. Got spotted by some good friends, people who became good friends, in the mayor's office. I eventually joined Mayor Daley's staff as assistant and then acting deputy press secretary for Mayor Daley. I was there for about 4.5 years, and then I moved on into the private sector.
All right.
In a number of roles with People's Energy, Ross Perot's company, EDS.
All right.
And ultimately as a consultant, working on my own, doing speech writing and that kind of thing.
So when you look at your career from the U of I and Champaign and back to the city of Chicago and look how the city has changed, do you think right at this point in time, what kind of entrepreneurial environment do we have for small and medium-sized business? You know, we hear a lot every day, and certainly your experience at CHA plays into that because, you know, a lot of the historic CHA is no longer. The buildings have been torn down, those neighborhoods have been changed forever. A lot of people have been cast to the wind, and so population shifts have gone on. But as we try to rebuild this city moving forward, how do you feel about it as a city that embraces small business and a city for entrepreneurship?
I think, Bruce, the internet has changed the landscape and created untold opportunities.
Oh, really?
For entrepreneurs in this city and beyond. Because, you know, 30 years ago, you needed a brick and mortar facility generally to be taken seriously as a business. There were home-based businesses, and there still are, and there's some very credible ones. But generally speaking, most businesses had an actual physical location.
That's true.
It was also, though the restraints that existed before the internet also sort of put entrepreneurs in the opportunity, in the position where they had to actually face customers. And you know, looks and personal presentation, biases come into play when that kind of thing happens. We do business with my insurance agency right now with folks in communities that have never laid eyes on us. And outside of some interaction potentially on the phone or via the internet, that they don't contact us directly. And it gives us an opportunity to compete on more of a level playing field. If we're selling a good product, we're marketing well and doing good performing good community service for our customers, I think most people are inclined to do business with us without having to have their biases come into play potentially when they see us.
So you feel that in this new framework, broadband, of e-commerce, of social media, of being able to do comparison shopping online. But in your particular industry of financial services and insurance, you think that this has actually removed the restrictions of you just being a mom and pop local company to somebody that could basically do business all over the state of Illinois.
By and large, absolutely. And I think it's a unique opportunity that we should take advantage of before somebody figures out that it's available.
All right, all right. Now, speaking of that, you have a lot of personal clients, but you have a lot of small business clients. And so one of the reasons I wanted you to come on the show is to talk about, because you get a chance to poke and look, sometimes people are in silos and they don't see what's going on outside of their industry. But you deal with people in all different walks of life, all different types of strata, vertical markets and things. And so again, looking at, we were talking about 2016, 2017, now coming into 2018. Are you seeing things getting, from your clients' perspective, that business is going and businesses, people are adding staff, they're adding employees, they're starting to come up with their head out of the sand? Are you seeing a better environment in Illinois for some of your clients and small businesses in general?
Generally speaking, I would say so. There's a momentum building around electronic business and the transaction of business over the internet. That is unprecedented. It's new to the market. Ask some of the retailers that sold more goods, I should say, over the internet during this past holiday season than they had ever done before. I think more and more people are able to connect with distributors and directly with customers, whether it's through a computer or any other type of wireless device than they've ever seen and that has ever been available to us previously. So I think technology is probably largely leading the renaissance that I believe that we're seeing.
So when it gets into the area then of insurance and risk management services, we certainly know about, trying to protect ourselves from hackers and from cybersecurity and making sure the transactions are legitimate when they are online. But how does your firm help small businesses manage, other than physical concerns, other types of concerns when it comes to risk management?
Sure. So I'm a what we call a commercial certified specialist with Allstate because of my background in working with a lot of businesses in economic development programs, both in government and in the private sector. But one of the things that we're able to offer to businesses is something called a business owner's policy, or in insurance terms, we refer to it as a BOP. And a business owner's policy not only provides a small entrepreneur, small business, with $2 million or less in revenues, general liability, that's something that's going to protect you in the event that you do have a physical location, someone comes in and slips and falls, you're protected. But it's also going to provide a certain degree of personal liability, which is going to be potentially you're saying something or offering something verbally that might be libelous in some kind of way. It's also going to protect your equipment and the investments that you have in your computers, your printers, any software that you might have. And it's also going to provide a certain degree of terrorist or cybersecurity protection as well with those business owner policies. And we do it in a package. A lot of the times it's as affordable as $20 or $25 a month for a business owner, where people might get a baseline of $1 million worth of liability coverage. And I think a lot of folks think it's probably less attainable than that.
Well, when we've seen throughout the country, we've seen all types of weather circumstances, the fires in California, the hurricanes in Texas and Florida. We've seen clear business interruption. I mean, Puerto Rico, my God, who could have an environment be 6 months without power or longer? So, back here in Illinois, back here in the Chicagoland area, are there ways in which, we don't think about it, but, Chicago has flooding. Chicago has severe weather circumstances, and you could have power outages or something that could have an adverse impact on your physical equipment, like your servers and routers and those types of things. Is that type of protection available so that if one of those calamities happen, your equipment is in fact covered, and you can be back up and running. When your business is back up and running, your equipment can be back up and running because of this type of protection.
So if we take the example of that same BOP or business owner's policy that I mentioned before, and I should mention that my business, my insurance agency, was my first customer, because before Allstate allowed us to open our doors, we actually had to secure our own business owner's policy for our operations.
All right.
So in the case of that same BOP, if you're paying $25, $30 a month, in some cases, for that BOP, that basically $1 million per incident coverage, you can also be protected, or you will also be protected with our basic BOPs in the event of what we call loss of income or loss of revenue. So if your business has to be shut down for a number of weeks or months, or even just some days, because of some sudden and accidental thing that occurs, the policy actually will pay you for your loss of revenue and opportunity to earn money for your business during that time.
Wow. So, I like to talk a lot about strategic planning, about business planning. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that are startups and trying to scale their business. And one thing that we've incorporated in that type of education is this conversation, to say that while you are planning, so when you were in the planning stages of opening your agency and you were thinking about all the things, who am I going to hire, what my marketing is going to be, what my physical location is going to be, and then you had to think about this, would you say that, again, with all of your background and experience, that was a very rigorous but healthy process to go through before you opened your doors?
Absolutely.
So you kind of had what the lay of the land was going to be, and you were prepared.
I think so. Even before I got to the decision to open an Allstate insurance agency, I had no background in insurance. I had no background in formal sales. What I did do was I engaged what we call a franchise coach. It was a person who actually helped me vet and go through potential opportunities. They matched up the money that I had to invest in the business, and the experience and interest that I had, and they found some opportunity that what they thought would be good matches for me. And I picked one.
And did they stay with you through the negotiation process? So you helping you know what questions to ask. So when you went to speak to the folks at the big corporation, you knew how to make sure that you got all that you were supposed to get in your assistance and what your ramp up and startup practice was going to be?
In my case, because I did not select a traditional, what we call formally a franchise, they did not. But those franchise coaches actually do perform those types of services and provide that type of much needed value added consultation for the great majority of their clients, absolutely.
So now 4 years into this process, and you're looking back on this experience, what are some of the lessons learned that you feel has made you now wiser? If you were able to go back to that new you and make some, well, what would you do differently in terms of the way that you approach, or would you do anything differently? Would you say that it's played out the way you thought it would play out?
There are absolutely things I do differently. I hear people all the time who say, I don't regret anything, I wouldn't change a thing. Well, that's not me. There are better people than me, I suppose. But there are absolutely things I would do differently. But if I had to pick one area where I would probably focus more about my attention, it would be on actually staffing. There's a book, it's called Good to Great.
Yes.
And the first thing they talk about, that all of the businesses that performed well off the charts, when it came to the businesses that they studied for best practices in that book, is they got what they call the right people on the bus. And I think if you don't take away anything else from my experience, or if I don't take anything else away from my experience, it would be moving forward, get the right people on the bus. Because the right staff in your business is going to tell a lot. That's going to actually separate you from the pack more than anything else.
Now, I talk a lot about that when I'm talking to small businesses because when people start, it's just them.
Right.
They have it. When you started, it was just you. You said, I've done corporate, I've done, city hall. Now I want to hang out my own shingle. I want to, work for myself. I want to earn my keep working with my name on the door. But it was you with that vision. It was you with that passion. Sure. And so you were your first employee. And I always tell people, well, but your team also includes, you know, your banker, your attorney, your CPA, your insurance man, your realtor. You know, those people are important. And would you say that was the same for you? Did those professionals that you had around you also give you advice and counsel as you move forward with your entrepreneurial vision?
Oh, without a doubt. Probably the first person that I engaged outside of the folks at Allstate University was an accountant who also handled everything from my incorporation to the type of business that I wanted to be incorporated as, to payroll and a number of different things that helped me get established. Just to create a stern and a solid foundation.
And are some of those early advisors and advocates still a part of your kitchen cabinet, still a part of your inner circle?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So then, as you now, as an insurance professional, have you been that coach on the side of entrepreneurs?
Sure.
So that you come, because, you know, people feel, you know, everybody wants to sell me something. They want to tell me buy this and buy that, but I'm a startup. You know, everybody's telling me how to spend money, everybody's telling me how to make money. But do you sympathize with that and kind of say, well, here's how you can kind of unfold your risk management strategy and walk people through the things like, look, I don't care who you are, before you hang up that shingle, you gotta have this. You know, this is day one, but some of the stuff, here's how you roll it together going down the road.
I'd probably say that's my go-to strategy for building my business. I probably could have a larger book of business and just go out and churn and burn and get customers and move on. I like to employ the strategy that Allstate actually has prescribed for us, which is becoming trusted advisor.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that I advise and talk to every day. My wife can tell you, some of them actually have my cell phone and they call me at all hours. There was one who called me on Christmas morning, and she's not a customer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at this with a longer trajectory than a lot of folks would.
Okay.
I feel that if I'm providing her with good counsel and good advice, she'll eventually learn that I'm that trusted advisor and will come on board with me. Because I want her to be a customer for a long time when she comes on board. I don't want her to just say, well, they had a 3% price increase, because that's a fact of life in business.
Mm-hmm.
Everything goes up in price. Nothing costs what it did 75 years ago. But I would hope they would see that there's value in the relationship and the advice that I'm providing. And that's the one thing that I'm happy to share, anything that I've learned with other entrepreneurs and other folks who are innovators as well, who might not know that they're in a position to become entrepreneurs.
Now, we were talking about industry sectors, you know, retail, medical, healthcare, e-commerce, transportation, distribution, and logistics, and that there are some areas that your company is willing to provide services, but there are others they say, well, you know, that's a little bit outside of our expertise.
Right.
As you look at those verticals that you're covering, do you itself see that some of these are ripe for growth? That these are verticals that make good business sense for entrepreneurs to be looking at? And so when you talk about some of the industry sectors you think are very strong industries and industries that your company is willing to support?
I think one in particular is that has probably been ignored. It's not a new era business. I think personal care is something that people have always been into and probably will continue to. We write on our commercial products, we probably write more beauty shops, barber and nail salons than we can count.
Wow.
And it's one of those verticals that Allstate strongly supports. With tax law and regulations around the IRS ever changing, we write accountant businesses quite a bit. There's businesses in the engineering and architecture space that are verticals that Allstate wholeheartedly supports and has products that are actually tailored just to their particular needs as well. So there's a number of businesses. I mean, anything you can imagine. If we don't always write them on Allstate's paper, meaning an Allstate branded product. But if we don't, we can typically find someone who's good for you. And if Allstate doesn't have it, being a trusted advisor, I'm willing to inquire or offer you the questions that you need to ask in order to find somebody.
So in a little bit of time that we have left, kind of switching gears a little bit, you've been involved in economic development, you've been involved in planning, you've been involved in policy. What are some of the things you think in this year, 2018, can and should happen to set the table so that there could be even a stronger revival of the black business corridors and the black business foundation? This has been one of the greatest cities historically for black entrepreneurs in the entire world, if not the country, but we've fallen on times that aren't the greatest. What are some of the things you think can happen in this coming year and the years out that could better light the fuse to get the business things going within our strong black business community?
Sure. Bruce, in many of our communities, in particular in communities of color throughout Chicago, we've got what we call a lot of available lands, I would always say when I work in economic development, and available hands. So if we've got space where there's nothing that's contributing to the betterment of our society going on, we ought to need to be using that space to incubate business. Okay. We ought to offer a trial ground for people to try out what it is that they do. And the more we can provide programs like Operation Hope and some others that offer people the opportunity in a safe space to step out and test what they do, I think that's one of the most valuable things that we can provide moving forward. Because there are tons of people with ideas, and it might cost more money than they have to really safely risk in order to find out whether or not it works. And I think those incubator programs, those test programs, those trial programs, those programs that actually provide counsel and advice as folks are growing to scale are.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and I think that's very wise information. And you would be wise to be aware of a gentleman like Andre Garner, because, like I say, when you are putting your concepts together, putting your plans together, managing risk, but getting, the help of people that have been there and done that, make a whole lot of sense. So if you want to get in touch with Andre Garner, what's your phone number, Andre?
We're at area code 773-701-5433.
Okay, we'll put all that information on how to contact Mr. Garner and his firm and the kind of services they provide. And it doesn't cost you anything to ask questions. It doesn't cost you anything to get good advice and counsel as you are working to grow your activity, to plan for your activity, and to protect your activity. This is the kind of thing I love to talk about, is putting you in touch with good people that can make a difference in your life, your world, and your affairs. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and you've been watching another edition of Technology Access Television. We'll see you next time. Good conversation. Well, I hope that we have a chance of...
We have the folks at Blue Ocean Line.
Yes.
So they've had me come in and do presentations to their crew during their workshops.
Okay. All right.
PowerPoint and everything. We talk about not only general liability and the things that...
How long is that session?
It can be 15 minutes, it can
Okay.
be 40 minutes.
All right.
It's all about how much time we have to interact.
Okay.
But we want folks to actually get it and understand it and ask questions.
Have you done it a couple times?
Yes, I've done it. I've only done it once myself. All down at the
Microsoft?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, in the AI building.
Oh, yeah, the Microsoft space here.
But I've got, South Shore.
Oh, yeah, Tanya Tribe. Yes. Oh, really? Okay.
There's a series with her.
All right.
Sunshine.
Okay.
Too. But it's just a
good.
basic presentation to make you understand the difference between these different coverages. You're going to leave that box. That's your place. But as you grow, you're going to also be professionalized. Which is going to be the areas in which
Okay.
Few shots.
practice.
All right.
And then you're going to need workers' comp. You know what we really interested in? We hear conservative tort reform. There was tort reform in that we excused big business from a lot of liability, potential liability, in exchange for them paying more into workers' comp. And then they come back